Okay, this is now the 5 minute tarot for the 12th of July 2017, and I'd like to make one point today. And only because in the last few days we've had a certain amount of discussion about the Seven of Pentacles. And if you read the comments that people have made and the meanings that they've given or that have been discussed, there's a certain amount of contradiction. And I'm wondering if people who are watching are maybe getting confused or wondering what to do when you have so many different possible meanings. How do you choose the right one? And that's what I'd like to look at, because I think it's very simple what you actually do. So to recap the information about the Seven of Pentacles, because we've got six on the bush and there's one at the feet of the person who's standing with maybe a shovel, maybe a walking stick. So some people think about or look at the picture and see the need for cultivation, right? You prune, you water, you look after things, but you put effort into producing something. Whereas the original idea that I began with was that the person is thinking, so you're considering what you care about, what you want, what's to be expected, and so on. But then somebody said that maybe the single coin at the feet of the person actually fell off the tree or fell off the bush, and maybe it's disease, and it just, so that there can be a problem. And so the Seven of Pentacles can indicate the need to discover weaknesses or to undo the damage done by bugs or viruses or whatever it happens to be. And then somebody else mentioned about how the six coins on the bush could represent work that has been done in the past. So the six is about admiration maybe for what you've done, or reviewing the past, or enjoying the fact that the work has been completed successfully maybe. Whereas for me, I began the thing with talking about how with the Seven of Pentacles, it can be that you ask the question, what are you going to do next? Because the question at the Six of Pentacles is not so much about reviewing the past and maybe enjoying it. It's more about, okay, that's the past, what are we going to do next? So you can find yourself saying, okay, I read all this information and I got all these different types of meanings. Which one is right? What do you do with competing ideas? And so that, because you want to be able to turn the card and look at it and give an interpretation, but you want to have confidence that what you're saying is basically correct. So do you look at the Seven of Pentacles and say it's about enjoying what has happened in the past, or is it about figuring out what the future holds? And somehow you can't have both. So what do you do when you've got meanings of cards that maybe contradict, or you've got a whole range of meanings and you're not sure which one to use or which one to choose? So I'm going to say the answer is simply forget them all. And that's it. So forget about cultivation and contemplation and disease and so on. So when I say forget about all the meanings, I don't mean clear them out of your mind and never think about them again. But it's more along the lines of, you've got the question. So talk about the Seven of Pentacles as the answer. So it's not like you insult somebody or you say something bad to them and they say, I forget about it. It doesn't matter. And so you move on, and in the future, you don't ever refer to that bad moment or that bad situation again. That's forgetting about it, putting it out of your mind and never referring to it again. But when I say forget the meanings, what I'm saying is each time the Seven of Pentacles comes up, there was a question first. So the question might have been the person saying, okay, I was doing this and something went wrong. And I don't know what it was. So you turn and you get the Seven of Pentacles. So maybe in this case, because the starting point was that something went wrong, maybe you take the idea that the single pentacle that fell off, or the single pentacle at the feet, is something that fell off, so it got damaged. So you maybe look at the Seven of Pentacles and say, okay, something got damaged. Let's take a look at the situation and figure out what the bug was, or what the virus was, or what the problem was that caused the coin to fall off the bush where it should have stayed. So you're not so much picking a meaning, but you're making sense of part of the Seven of Pentacles to answer the question. Or maybe somebody says, okay, I'm doing this, but what's the best way to proceed? So you look at and you turn and you get the Seven of Pentacles and say, okay, you need to cultivate the situation, which means that you look at the different bits and pieces of it. You make sure that they've got room to grow. You make sure that any kind of weeds that would impede growth have been cleared out. You make sure it's got enough nutrients and water and so on. It gets enough light so that the thing can grow. But you translate that into, let's say it's a business, or somebody's health that they want to improve. So you say, okay, look at the different bits and pieces of your health. Do you exercise? Do you breathe properly? Do you get relaxation? Do you get enough sleep? So those are the different ingredients, the different bits and pieces, and you make sure that you cultivate the situation. Or maybe the questioner mentions something specific about the question or about their concern, and that reminds you of what somebody wrote in a comment, or it makes you think of a meaning that somebody offered. So generally, I think what we do is we think about cards, we make notes, we maybe have discussions, we gather meanings, we consider what cards might mean, we write down our thoughts, we write down our ideas, we write down what we think doesn't work. And we think about it off and on from time to time. But the goal is, what we're looking for is understanding of what's going on in the picture. So we're looking for understanding rather than memorizing meanings. Because I think reading the tarot is not about selecting the right answer. You know, it's not like you've got a whole list of meanings in a book somewhere or in a notebook, and you've got to go through it and, okay, I'll pick this one today. It's not, I don't think that's reading the tarot. That's maybe memory work or something, but it's not, it doesn't flow somehow. Whereas if you read what's there, you relate the card that you get to the question that was asked, and you give an answer based on what's there. But you're speaking from a position of knowledge or knowing about the card. So for instance, you can turn the Seven of Pentacles again. So we've got a question about what am I going to do? So you look at the card, but you're talking about, okay, it's a 7, which has a particular meaning. It's a sort of Pentacles, which has a meaning, right? So, and you've got some advanced knowledge or more intermediate knowledge about what the number means, what the suit means, or maybe it's a court card. So you've got an idea about if it's a court card, you've got an idea about the person's age or the age and experience or lack of experience of the person represented by the card. You know, you've got an idea about their ability, their characteristics, and so on. So you look at the King of Cups, and you know it's an older person, certain amount of experience. They can keep their control of their emotions, for instance, because it's cups. So you look at the card, and because you know about kings and cups, you can do something with the picture. Whereas somebody who's never seen a card before, it's a king, well, what does that mean? It's a cup, what does that mean? They haven't got much idea about what to do with the symbolism or what to do with the king. Or let's say you've got a major trump that comes up. So you, because you've got some experience, know that a major trump can represent a particular life lesson. Or particular skills that the individual has, or mistakes that they've made if the card is reversed, or what the card can teach you. So with the magician, let's say, you know that the person can think quickly, they can think on their feet, they're good at manipulating, they're good at distracting people as well, because they point over there, but in the meantime, they're doing something over here. That kind of skill that they've got. Whereas if the magician is reversed, you might talk about how you're not very good at distracting people. They're going to see through. If you try to pull a fast one, as they say, or if you try to trick people into agreeing to something, they're going to see through you. They're not going to be taken in by your attempt to fool them or to trick them into something, because it's the magician and it's upside down. So you, because you've got some experience, you can look at the picture and look at the title of the major trump, and you know something about it, so you can read the card and translate what's going on in the card and relate it to the question, and therefore relate it to the answer. Whereas if you get the devil, it's a very different type of activity. There's restriction, and there's imprisonment, and there's fear, maybe, and doubt, and you're under the control of somebody else. And you, because you know the card, you've done a bit of study, you know immediately that that's what's going on. Whereas somebody who isn't familiar with the tarot can look at the devil and think, what do I do with this? So what do you do if you read conflicting meanings for the same card? Or you can see the logic of what somebody says. Okay, the Seven of Pentacles is cultivation, but you can also see the logic that the Seven of Pentacles is a card of contemplation. But you can also see the logic of the fact that the Seven of Pentacles is a card of admiring work that's been successfully completed. But you don't worry about the fact that these are different maybe contradictory ideas, because you know the question, you turn the card, you maybe pay attention to what the questioner has told you as background to the question, so you know how to talk about the card when you turn it over. That was it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.